I am now going to read a very short extract from David Croft's new autobiography called Lewis and I. It was a cold night. I had just vacated my wet, soapy shower. I've wrapped my short, skimpy towel round my chiseled body. As the door creaked open from behind me, a sharp gust of wind entered the room, lifting my towel in the air and exposing my flaccid penis. And there, standing in the frame of the door, was the most beautiful creation God had ever created. From legs so firm and breasts so elegant, it could only be Lewis Hamilton. He entered the room looking at me up and down. We exchanged a long, deep stare into each other's eyes, waiting for the other to make the first move. He slowly moved into my right ear and whispered, "Do you want to see my helmet?" My penis went from 0 to 180 degrees instantly. Then they had long, rough, hard sex, and that's pretty much the story. Hello everyone, and welcome to The Truth. I've just literally stopped myself from laughing so much. That was so difficult. But hello and welcome. I've just written that onto Word, and I don't know what to do. So yeah, this episode of The Truth, we're going to be talking about David Croft, and I think that little sentence there might have just summed it up quite easily. David Croft rather likes Lewis Hamilton, doesn't he? If he took a shit, it would probably be the most amazing shit in the world. Let's be frank about it. Lewis Hamilton to David Croft is like Jesus to an avid Christian who goes to church every Sunday. He is the Messiah. He can't do nothing wrong. If Lewis Hamilton was to go into a primary school full of children, pull out an SMG and kill them all, David Croft would defend him. This is something wrong with David Croft, because Sky F1, for most of the world, is the only real major platform of watching Formula 1 week in, week out. Obviously you've got BBC if you're in the United Kingdom, then you can watch BBC, but they don't have the full live coverage every race weekend, so you have to watch Sky F1. And most people have to put up with David Croft being one of the most biased commentators I've ever seen in my life. Lewis Hamilton this, Lewis Hamilton that. If Nico Rosberg won a Grand Prix and Lewis Hamilton done one little thing, then he would make a massive deal about it and make it the most important thing that happened that day. And for me, that's not right. There are other people apart from Lewis Hamilton, and that needs to be explained by a few people. You need to understand why he does this. It's because he seems to think because Lewis Hamilton is British, he is just the perfect man, and I think this kind of sums up what's wrong. And I think, you know, I made my last video about Lewis Hamilton fans, and I think this is another case of it. David Croft, there's another guy called Jenson Button who you could easily support, and I dare say if Button was in that situation he would probably be a similar way. But David Croft seems to think that Lewis Hamilton is the only driver in Formula 1 that means anything, because if you listen to any form of commentary, even if they're talking about Fernando Alonso, say Fernando Alonso has just had a blowout. Well, Lewis Hamilton once had a blowout, and he would instantly bring it round to Lewis Hamilton. And you know, for most people who are watching Sky F1, I personally am a Hamilton fan, but I don't want to be listening to Hamilton 24/7. I want to be listening to about other drivers. I want to know about Fernando Alonso. I want to hear about Vettel and how he's just won at the race weekend. I want to hear about Nico Rosberg, his teammate, who of course is the worst person in David Croft's eyes, because, you know, when the incidents happened in Monaco and Spa, David Croft was the first person to jump on the bandwagon and say Rosberg was a bit of a dick. And even when Lewis Hamilton does things like the over-aggressive defending in Bahrain, we can't forget about that, but it seems everyone has forgotten about that, because David Croft has almost just like brainwashed people, because it is the most popular way. People seem to just follow what David Croft says, and if it wasn't for Martin Brundle, I think Sky F1 would probably be the most unwatchable thing, because Sky and David Croft are extremely biased towards Lewis Hamilton. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's acceptable anymore, because there are other people, and Sky F1 has won multiple awards for being the most popular Formula 1 broadcasting channel out of anyone in the world, and this is not an acceptable thing at all. And David Croft is, let's be honest, a bit of a dick. And I mentioned in the little sub thing about how it was like almost like a weird memory or dream sort of thing that David Croft has, but it kind of in a way is true, but not in the way that I've put it, because you could just imagine David Croft seeing Lewis Hamilton and just becoming a massive like fangirl and start crying because he's seen him. And for a man who is broadcasting to millions of people around the world who are watching this, it's not really what you want to be seeing, because I know for a fact that in Australia they get broadcasted Sky, and they obviously, a lot of them are going to be supporters of people like Daniel Ricciardo and in previous years Mark Webber. But of course, It's all about Lewis Hamilton, and this is slowly but surely starting to make most British people dislike Lewis Hamilton, which is why people are slowly not liking Lewis Hamilton as much. In a few years' time, Lewis Hamilton is probably not going to be liked as much. And if you remember when Sebastian Vettel was winning everything, everyone seemed to hate Sebastian Vettel. Everyone hated Sebastian Vettel. But now, Sebastian Vettel was being liked by people. Can anybody understand why? Because for over them 4 years, people like David Croft made him look like a pantomime villain. And because it wasn't Lewis Hamilton having success, that other person is instantly the villain in the story, and you should instantly not like him. And this is the issue with David Croft. He doesn't seem to. He's very one-way thinking. You know, he'll see his target, Lewis Hamilton, and he'll have say in archery, you've got the main red circle thing, and you've got all the stuff around it. For David Croft, Lewis Hamilton is the red bullseye target, and everything else is the rest of Formula 1. But David Croft is too busy aiming for the red target. He doesn't incorporate every other aspect of Formula 1, and he needs, you know, it's difficult because he doesn't even bring in Jenson Button. There was not a single mention of Jenson Button, and I think the only time last season I saw David Croft actually seemingly talk about another driver for more than 5 minutes was Jules Bianchi's crash. And that was a point when somebody could have lost their life, and that just really sums it up, doesn't it? The only time David Croft is, you know, has got the window wipers over his fogged Lewis Hamilton vision is when somebody could have lost their life, and I think that's really a major issue. And this is, to be honest with you, the truth about David Croft, and I think everyone is thinking this, but I'm the only person that's willing to say it, and that's not right. Hopefully, I don't want anyone to lose their job, but in this case, I think it'd be better if David Croft was to step down and we had somebody like Mark Webber taking the job alongside Martin Brundle. But Mark Webber, of course, has got other commitments. I think he's with Australian Formula 1, something like that, I don't know. But he's got other commitments. But I would love to see Brundle and Webber alongside. And David Croft, the man who seems to think Lewis Hamilton pisses bloody diamonds, loses place. So guys, that has been the truth. Please tell me your opinions on what we should do next, and I'll see you next time.